Yes, we are.
Woo! There goes Selena. Oh no, that's not Mafia.
It's so low, so I don't know if you know if we can hear it. It's got that oompy doomp, you know that. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So for those who don't know who La Mafia is, let's go, Mama Ruth. Just let's go off script here. Who is it? Who are they?
That's one of my our best Texas Tex-Mex music artists.
I'm having trouble understanding right
now. And they are from?
Please try a little
San Antonio.
Exactly. Alexa, stop.
That's my hometown.
And just so that, wait, give me a second. Alexa, stop. Smart speaker. Welcome everyone to Coffee and Dulce. I'm Christian. Cano, Mama Ruth did our wonderful introduction. I completely messed up her bit and her lines here.
You sure did.
I know, but welcome everyone. Today is June the 3rd. We have passed May. Who would have? May, I didn't even remember it was here. Just like April.
We're half year already.
I know.
That's crazy. We are in June 3rd. Flag Day, I think, is coming up soon, sometime around now. So as we normally do in Coffee and Dulce, thank you so much for joining us on Facebook Live. Also those who join us on YouTube later or on Facebook as well. I want to thank those who joined us on the last week's show that talked about who are the freedom fighters, who are the thugs. We had some great neighbors, Shemaya, Maya Wells, Maurice Falls, Councilperson Matt Newton joined us in the very end to talk about a vote that happened on Monday that was not successful, but I think he did an excellent job of educating people on HMS host and how they have basically been they were not fair to what they treated their employees here at the Charlotte Airport, which is the most profitable airport in America and the second most profitable hub for American Airlines. But yet they can't afford to pay their employees, and they're a multi-billion-dollar company, and they want all these tax breaks and everything. So anyway, so that's another story. So as we normally do on Coffee and Dulce, since we're on virtual for now, let's go around the screen, introduce yourself, introduce your imaginary button or your regular button, and tell us who you are. So I'm going to be sharing this here. And it looks like if you are looking at your Coffee and Dulce page on Facebook, we have, and I'm just going to tell you what I see here. We have, it looks like me, and then there's Jenny, neighbor Barbara, Eduardo, Cyndi, and then Mama Ruth. So in that order, introduce yourself.
So you've already done yourself?
Oh, sorry, Jenny. Go ahead, Jen. Okay.
Still mute.
Yeah.
I'm muted.
Wait, Jenny.
Hold on a second.
Wait, Jenny.
Hold on a second, Jen. All right. You're gonna see some. You're gonna see some TV
I'm gonna see
magic,
your yellow boxers.
All right.
There we go.
We'll have some feedback.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Jen.
All right. We'll try this one more time. Hi, I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn. I represent the National Organization of Women. That would be one of my buttons. And then Charlotte Pride, of course. I'm in Pride Gear. Because it is International Pride Month this month. It's a little different. You know, we have canceled the local Pride. And then also gun sense laws, moms to ban action, and most of all, Medicare for all. Obviously, COVID has highlighted the reason why we need it. It's kind of a no-brainer. And I'm hanging out with baby Trump today.
Hi, good morning. My name is Barb Bacon. I'm a healthcare advocate here in Charlotte. My button would be healthcare for all. I've heard some debates lately about whether or not they think it should be Medicare for all. So people are actually thinking about other options, which I think is interesting. And also gun safety. With all the guns we've seen on TV lately, something we need a little bit more control. Eduardo? Is it Eduardo next?
Is it me next?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Hey guys, my name is Eduardo Rivera, and I am currently working for the census through the Center for Popular Democracy and the Action NC. My imaginary button would be Make It Count, as well as with everything that's going on right now with the murder of George Floyd. My other button would be End Racism Now.
Cindy?
Hi, my name is Cyndi Lopez, and I am the owner of a small business named My Sweet Bundts, making bundt cakes, large and small. And I just started my business about a year ago, and really excited that all my customers have remained very loyal to me. And I had a situation take place over the argument or the trying to make people understand the anger and the rage behind the death of George. So just a little bit about me.
Great. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ruth Perez. I'm a community advocate. If I would have a real button today, it's not going to be just one. It'll be Medicare for all, because we all deserve regular Medicare, especially for our airport employers. We need their insurance to be valued and not taken away. I would also say, like always, gun sense reform. And I'm agree 100% with all of y'all about George Floyd. Stop the racism. We all life matter. All of our lives, white, black, Asians, any other color. We do matter in this world. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts. You're going to hear just a little bit of feedback, and I apologize. So get used to it. The way we're arranged here, we try to be really witty, but
Jenny, you just need to get up and put mute and then sit down.
No, I can tell already that's going to be chaotic. So I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts for Coffee and Pan Dulce, along with Mama Ruth, Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, and Jeff Scott, who's on a hiatus. And you know what, Jenny, can you put your hands on your microphone? Perfect. That's excellent. That should minimize my feedback. All right, so we are going to be talking about the topic, and I forgot the topic already. Jenny, what is it?
It is not whites versus blacks anymore.
Yes.
It is everyone against the racists.
Exactly. That was the line that I heard consistently at yesterday's peaceful march organized by the NAACP and the Kids Are Angry group. There were thousands of Charlottesvilleans here downtown walking peacefully. Jenny and I attended with our masks, our face coverings, and it was a very powerful event. Of course, it was a little disturbing that all the helicopters were flying, so you could kind of interrupted the noise. But apparently during that march, which ended about 6:45, about 1,000 protesters, peaceful protesters, who are neighbors of ours, who have every constitutional right to protest and to share their views. They can walk on the sidewalk all they want to. There's no laws that require permits, as long as you're not organized, standing, as long as you don't have an electronic bullhorn or something. There's no laws. No one can prevent Americans from doing things like that. And apparently there was an incident last night where our CMPD kind of walked them into kind of like a trap, where there were three sides of CMPD, and these were peaceful marches, and they threw gas stuff into them, rubber bullets and everything. So they kind of like, I don't know what the term is. They
basically boxed them in. I mean,
they boxed them in.
They boxed them in, military style tactic, where if you herd them into basically a box canyon, there's only one way out. And it's a very brutal tactic and very unnecessary. I mean, to do that to civilians, use chemical weapons or any type of rubber bullet or paintball bullet, pepper ball bullet should be illegal. There's no need for it.
So So we're going to talk about that, but before we talk about that, let's do what I always forget. Let's toast to coffee and pan dulce. This is something that we always do in person as neighbors. Why we started the show. We would be sitting around the Casa de Cano and we would go coffee pan dulce. And we also want to thank our pan dulce sponsor, which once again is Manolo's Bakery. Manolo's Bakery is on Central Avenue. They have tres leche cakes, all kinds of pan dulce. My favorite is obviously the concha. This is a frozen concha that I've had for a long time because I like the colors from Cinco de Mayo. But I do have fresh pan dulce, and they have tamales, Mexican tamales, all kinds of wonderful breads and everything. So please visit Manolo's Bakery on Central Avenue. They are a small business, immigrant owned, made by immigrant hands. So with that said, let's go around and tell us if you've been to a protest. Let's try to keep things in 30 seconds and how you felt about that. So who wants to start? We'll just throw the floor open here. Eduardo?
Okay, I haven't been to a protest yet. I've just been following a few lives of my Facebooks and also a I think it's a local newspaper. It's called Queen City Nerve.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen a lot of their live videos. And I just wanted to say that, you know, being Latino, this is our time as well to step out there and have our voices heard. We know that we also experience racism. You know, like it's not only our Black brothers and sisters. We also go through that. So this is the time for us to be out there and support them. I saw somebody made a post on Facebook where it said, "Oh, you know, nobody has been protesting about the kids in cages." And some of our Black brothers and sisters were commenting and saying, "Well, you guys don't have the, excuse the language, but you guys don't have the balls to go out there and you know protest for your community and do something for your community." So, you know, since they're out there, this is the time for us to show that support as well, not only for them, but also for the things that we face through our daily issues when it comes to racism and everything that's going on when it comes to immigration and also, of course, the kids in cages at the border.
Eduardo, a quick question. Do you understand a comment like that? And we have to be careful to understand that the Latinx community in Charlotte is very different than the Latinx community in Dallas, and Fort Worth, and San Antonio, and LA, and Chicago, and Denver, and Albuquerque, and San Diego. It's a very, very different community. They have a longer history of political activism and community involvement. Charlotte is such a young city, and we only have first or second generations here normally, unless you've moved here from somewhere else. So there are a lot of our neighbors of color who don't see our Latinx leaders as concerned about, we show concern in a march every once in a while, but we're nothing where the activism that they do for their community. So does that do you see that? I mean, or do you see a lack of that, or maybe you don't see that, or I'm curious.
No, yeah, I do. And actually, the only person that I've actually seen going out there in the past few days and protesting and, you know, and supporting has been one of my friends, Hector Vaca. I'm not sure if you guys know who he is, but
we know Hector
from Action NC, yeah. So he's the one that's been out there. And I mean, from past protests related to like Latinx issues and this and that, when he has tried to put up events, you don't really see that support as well from the Latinx community. So that I totally agree on what you're saying. It seems like there's a lack of leadership, Latinx leadership here in the city.
Yeah. Who'd like to go next? Cyndi, you want to jump in? I'll throw you in.
No, actually, I have not attended one of the protests here because I work in the evening shift, but I do have family that have been attending, and I do go on and I see the live versions of it. And Fort Worth has been pretty calm. We had a couple of nights there that were a little bit iffy, but last night was calm. We do have a actual time that everybody has to be out of downtown, and that's by 8 o'clock. I saw the last 2 nights they were not obeying the curfew laws, and they were still hanging out, but the police and them have like a really good rapport, and everybody was hugging and shaking hands and, you know, just kind of on the same level with it. But yeah, I plan on it. My days off are coming up, and I do plan on attending. I just have not been able to.
Sure. Hey, Jen, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, last night was, or last evening was, my first, and I loved the fact that it was very well organized. It was peaceful, even though I don't have an issue with unpeaceful demonstrations. I think you need both. I mean, I don't think peaceful's worked. You know, too many people have been too nice about this, and I think a little bit of rabble rousing and maybe flipping over a few cars is needed. I mean, you know, you know, we have a history of that. When white people do it, it's celebrated. You know, Boston Tea Party, prime example. That, you know, they got named, you know, after, you know, we had a political movement in the 90s, you know, called the Tea Party, named after that. And so, you know, when white people want to take, you know, do the westward expansion and manifest destiny and all that, but honestly, it was the destruction of property, destruction of cultures. We destroyed over 90 nations that were existing here in North America so that different European nations could set up shop here. You know, that was a riot. That was violence. That wasn't colonization. It was a takeover. I mean, we flipped over people's homes and then acted like we discovered it. We didn't discover anything. We invaded people's land. Thank you. Well, I mean that's reality, you know. Yes. Yeah, I can.
Jenny, yeah, what you said is exactly, I agree. You said that a couple of times afterwards, and I've tried to use these same talking points of the hypocrisy of these collection rural South Charlotte people saying, "Oh my God, rioters, this. Our country is founded on rioters, the Boston Tea Party. Jesus turned over the table. You know, I mean, so apparently it's only bad when brown black people do it. But if you've seen these marches in Charlotte, they're all young white kids. So
And here too.
it's a very interesting situation. Mama, have you been to a protest, or you want to say anything in 30 seconds because I got the bell?
Okay, I have not been physically out. I've been trying to hold off for some symptoms that my family's been going through. But I've been watching and very active on the news and the videos, the live videos, especially with Team Neon. I don't know if y'all know him. And last night was very, very painful for me. I think I shared the news and I said, you know, this is not our city. Our city is worth more. I don't disagree with demanding that we have the right to protest and to have a voice, but I think CMPD is not taking it seriously, and I think they're taking, to me, it's like an advantage right now to show who has more power. And it was very awful to see all those gas bombs being thrown out for people that are not doing nothing. They were just standing, raising their hands. You know, we just want justice. They're not kicking no one's out. I mean, I've seen a guy pull out on the floor, handcuffed for no reason, just for being there, just because they didn't want to disperse. Just exactly what happened to Braxton on Friday, not obeying. I don't think that's right. I mean, there's got to be a limit, a borderline. And also, we need our city council and our city mayor to do a curfew. I mean, I don't mind the protest, but at least like any other state at 8 o'clock. Once it gets dark, everybody goes home because it's terrifying families. I mean, we have families texting, they're trying to go get Tylenol for their family and Walmart's already closed.
Nothing good happens after dark.
That's right.
But I mean, I don't think it's fair because I mean, if there's a pharmacy that should be open 24 hours and they have to end up closing because they're afraid they might come and break in, you know, that's not right. We don't have to live that way.
I have been impressed, and we can jump to Barbara here, but I have been impressed by our fellow libertarians in North Carolina who have spoken out passionately about the right of our neighbors to peacefully protest. It is a libertarian value. We don't have to ask permission from our government to walk on the streets or to walk on sidewalks. You do have to have a permit if you want to gather, or if you want to have an electronic bullhorn. Those are permits you have to have. But we don't have to have any permission from anyone for you and I just to walk up and down this with a sign saying, I love America, I love America, I love America. That's nothing that we have to have. So the fact that there are some Republicans, especially on our city council, and we have a Republican light city council at large member, Jimmy Isel, that continues to use the word intel. We have intel from the police that people are coming into our neighborhood as if though our citizens don't have a right to go wherever they want. They don't have to sneak into, they have a right to go anywhere. And intel, we all know, when people use those terms, intel, like Tariq uses, we've got intel, there's something going on at South Park Mall. That is code to scared
Chris,
white.
they can't hear you. You gotta unmute yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Using the term intel by Julie Isel and Tariq, that is code in South Charlotte for telling your neighbors, hello, the brown and black people are coming to protest around here. And that's really code to scare them up. We live here. So I don't know why you have to warn people that we're coming. We're already here. And a lot of these young people that have been marching in South Park and Myers Park, they live in this area. And so there is this kind of disguised racism by Julie Isel, which is very surprising because she's a Democrat. And Tariq, I also kind of surprised to hear it from Tariq. With the name of Tariq Bakari, you would think he'd be a little bit more sensitive to how people are treated because what their names are or how they feel. When he ran, his opponent called him a Muslim terrorist, and he's a Republican. And his whole campaign was, I'm a Christian, my middle name is Scott, so I was only named, Tariq. So there's a lot of hypocrisy. But with that said, there's some really good Republicans that are standing up and saying, I'm there for you. We've got Kyle Kirby, who's running for an office, I think, in a part of Charlotte, who is posting wonderful things. We've got Matthew Ridenhour, who is posting things about our rights to protest and encouraging people. He said, I don't care what you do. If you're going to wear a mask, you have every right to wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. But be responsible. So there's a lot of really good Republicans. We can't just throw them all into that phase. So I went over, and we're going to have like a bell from Neutral for everyone. Barbara, have you been to a protest?
I have not, but
Okay.
I have family outside of North Carolina, in Michigan and Illinois, and some of my old business buddies, we started to talk to each other as we were stay at home. And they all want to know why Charlotte doesn't have a curfew, that it has worked well in every other city. And I said, I don't know. We don't even know where our mayor is. So I don't know what to say to that because
She spoke last night. She was there.
Where?
She talked. Oh
Where
God,
was it?
yes.
The council
At
meeting.
the government center outside. She had a very pretty mask.
But it seems like Malcolm Graham and all the other city council people are the ones that are on the news talking to talking points. You just don't, they're like every other city's mayor and is on national TV and everything. Where's your mayor? And I said,
Exactly.
Even Raleigh has a curfew already.
Yeah. I don't understand what the thing is to not have a curfew. I don't know if they think it's going to hurt our image or whatever. I mean, our image is already being hurt by
hurt.
exactly. And then now the fact that Trump is threatening to pull the RNC out, who do we have to impress? You know, I mean, and we'll
Then let's
talk about
protect
that
our
briefly.
property then. Let's protect
Yeah.
our property, get a curfew, get things under control. You know, we've got
Exactly.
a new chief of police in transition, so
Exactly.
maybe that's part of the problem. I don't know, but it's, people just don't know what's going on here. And I said, I'm safer at home, so I'm staying home. And I just said, I don't know what's going on. I just watch 4 different news channels every night and every morning to see what I can find out, but I don't know.
Well, speaking of that, you know, I've always said that Charlotte always acts like we have to reinvent the wheel, like we're the only city in the country that has to deal with these issues. We're dealing with issues that other cities have dealt with decades ago. And we always act like we're too proud to call Atlanta, to call another city and say, hey, what did you do during this time period? We're a young Latinx community, immigrant community. Let's look at other cities like Denver who went through that 20 years ago, or Dallas, Texas, who went through that 50 years ago, or El Paso, Texas, who's always been that way. They were Texas before Texas was Texas, or San Antonio, Texas, or LA with the Chicanos, you know, or Chicago. And so we always act like we have to reinvent the wheel. So the reason I'm saying that, I want to pivot to Cyndi Lopez, who is actually in Texas. And Cyndi, 2 things. What are y'all, from your view, how do you view Charlotte, if you have a view of Charlotte? And secondly, tell us what happened or what you're going through by being supportive, or not, I don't want to say the word supportive, but being concerned about what happened to George Floyd.
Charlotte, here in Texas, we kind of view it as I don't know, there's not a whole lot of people being vocal. I don't really see a lot of feeds with y'all on them. When you told me you were from Charlotte, I was like, oh, I love that city. But I don't get a lot of feedback from them, you know, from y'all over in Charlotte. I didn't even know who your mayor was. I like to pride myself on knowing certain mayors. And when she said that, I laughed about it. That was the question, because I was like, oh my gosh, they do have a mayor, but I've never heard the name, you know? But I mean, and sometimes having your mayor being out there in public and speaking a lot doesn't mean that it's going to make it any better, because we have ours here, and you know, we can go back and forth about that all day. But so I mean, y'all have a beautiful city, I can say that, but a lot of history back over in that area. But I mean, it would be nice to hear more about y'all. So my standpoint that I was trying to make clear was, I in no way condone any of the violence that's going on or any of the rioting. In the beginning, when we first started and all that began, my whole thing was, they're angry. It's a lot of rage that's been birthed from years past, you know? And now we've come to find out a lot of them are just people who are coming to different states, they say. I'm not real sure about that, but I still feel like, you know, we were talking about brown skin, us as Latinos, we have experienced a lot of that. And because I have experienced it, I understand it, you know, and I don't want to be the one to say, oh, well, if you're not my color, you have no idea what I'm going through, what we're going through. So what I said in particular on this one thread, a friend of mine posted that looters and rioters, you know, it was just disgusting. And my whole thought on that was, what was disgusting was that an unarmed man that was handcuffed was murdered on TV, I mean, on live, you know, we all witnessed that. That is not a thing that we'll ever forget. I mean, there are people who see that through their whole lifetime, but to me, that was a whole different thing to view. And it hurt. It hurt because you could feel the pain that the man was going through. You knew he probably knew his life was ending then. And so I was outraged by it. And I felt like if I could have gone out and done something drastic, I would have. But the difference between me and that is I know how to control myself. And I'm not saying that they're wrong for doing it. I'm not going to say they're wrong for doing that. If that was the case, they got upset, they got angry. Yes, we all work hard to get where we are. We all, put in all we can to create a life and an American dream. But not everybody has that same opportunity or chance. As you can see, it's snuffed out when you're a threat. So there was a woman that went on the thread and posted that I was wrong for feeling that way. And I adamantly stood my ground. I said, no, I'm not. And I'm not going to change my mind on it. We went back and forth for a little bit. And she became very upset. And I guess she went on my page and saw the name of my business and comes back and says, how would you like it if someone drove to your business and burnt it down? You may wake up in the morning and have it burnt down. And I said to her, well, I don't think that's going to happen. I have faith. I have trust that it's not. And if it does, I'm not going to lay down and die about it. I'm over it, I'm going to rebuild it. And she said, well, I'm going to share this conversation with everyone. Maybe that will happen. And I immediately, I was like, this is not good. She said, your customers need to know what your thoughts are on this, and you need to be put out there on this. And I said, okay, if that's how you feel, if that's what you choose to do, you do it. I'm not going to sit here and worry about it. You're going to come burn down my business, or that people are not going to order. Because my business are bunk cakes, and the name is My Sweet Bundts, by the way.
Oh, that sounds so good.
They're delicious, I hear. So it really bothered me. And I then turned to Facebook and I notified everybody, my customers and my friends, this is what's happening. She got upset with me because I felt like a life is more important than tangible items, and she just could not get that. And I just gave up. I was just, I'm not going to sit here and keep explaining to her she's the problem. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, go about and I'm going to stand my ground. I'm not going to change my mind on that.
Well, you brought to mind two things, and this is very unscientific, but what I've noticed from, excuse me, Latinas is during this crisis or during this protesting situation, most Latinas, what I hear from them is, I support peaceful protests, but rioting is wrong. That seems to be a very consistent, I don't know if it's, that seems to my sister, I've heard it from my aunts on my Zoom calls, they all were like shaking their heads about the rioting. And one of the concerns that people of color, black brothers and sisters have with our Latino community is they see that as you're more concerned about property than you are about the actual issue. So I do know even within our Latino, our Latinx community, we have this need to sit down and dialogue with our black brothers and sisters to explain to them. It doesn't mean that we don't support you. It just means that we're all not going to agree on like everything. There's certain things that I don't know how to explain that. I don't know. Does anybody notice that?
Yeah, I understand. I mean, and also the younger generation. We're a little bit older than they are, but even from our growing up, we were taught, what we work for with our hands is what
exactly.
That's the American dream. We started from the bottom. Our parents, our grandparents worked hard for what they created, and I understand that. I do get that. But I also understand the rage and the anger behind it. My son, my older son, he was put in jail over something that didn't even make sense. And they had to release him on it, because it was based on the color of his skin, and so I said, you know, again, I was outraged. Now, would I go out and burn a building? No, but I felt
Yeah,
like it,
yeah.
you know. Would I go out and do it? No, but I felt like it because that's
Mm-hmm.
not my property to burn. I mean, everybody deals with it in a different way.
Exactly.
And I can't sit and judge people for their thoughts or their feelings on it. Yes, the law will deal with people who do that, you know, and I hope they do. But and if I saw it happening, I would try to stop it. You know, I don't condone it.
Anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah, I wanted to jump in.
Go ahead.
And it's kind of hard for me to hear, so I don't know. I want to make sure I'm not talking over anybody, but you know, it's a catch-22 when you're talking about brown versus black, and what I mean by that is that the Latinx community has had its own unique circumstances in the era of Trump, as far as ICE and their own struggles as a community.
Right.
As far as battling with, you know, the inherent racism of white people, hearing Latinx people in public spaces, maybe talking in Spanish or playing music, and how people scream, go back home, you know, get out of my country. And so there's this assumption that if you speak Spanish, you're not from the United States, which is really insane. But you know, you have the 400 years of tyranny of white people over black people, and I think both sides are hurt people. They're hurt people that have been hurt by white people, and I think sometimes when hurt people are hurting, they're going to hurt the other people too. Even though, ironically, they're both communities are suffering from the same thing, they see it from different lenses. And I think that is, it does, like Christian said, I think it takes a dialogue. I think it takes, you know, LULAC sitting down with the NAACP and communities of faith getting together and talking about that too. And you know, because there's strong communities of faith in the African American community, and there's strong communities of faith in the Latinx community. And saying, how do we support each other? How do we show a unified front and in our own ways protest, but protest together? And I think that's very important.
If we could just come together and be strong together, we could move mountains. I've always said that, you know.
Excellent point. Well, you want to say anything?
I wanted to add something. I just wanted to say that I just want to let the Black community know that we are also hurting. In our Latinx community, it's sometimes it's very hard for them to, you know, like go out there and protest. But at least our Latinx community leaders should be out there saying that we're out there supporting them. When I say it's hard for them to go out, is because like people would love to be there, but they are afraid of the police. There's so many rumors going out. I was reading an article. I'm not even sure if it's real or not. About 2 days ago, where it said that ICE was gonna go ahead and also be going into the protests and this and that. And so it scares also our Spanish community, either if they're immigrants, if they have papers or not. People who would love to be there as well supporting, but that's another issue where they're like, no, you know, the police is gonna be there. What if I get arrested? What if, you know, I get sent back to my country and this and that. That's why I just think that it's important for our leaders to be out there at least to show support.
And Eduardo, what you said is exactly what Ruth, other Latinx advocates in our community, even maybe Hector, have been talking about. Is Charlotte is not LA, it's not San Antonio, it's not Dallas, and we have a lot of people who have moved here from cities where the Latinx community is advanced politically, they're involved, they hold offices. We don't have any Latinx elected officials except maybe 2 at the local level. We have none at the state level. We have none at the federal level. We don't have any representation. So we're a new community here in North Carolina. For many, many years, and I've said this so many times, it's always been about black and white here in North Carolina. And it is not going to be easy. And I've had these conversations with my African-American brothers and sisters who even hold office. Just because our Latinx community won a seat at the table doesn't mean that we want to take any successes that you have accomplished. It just means that we want a seat at the table. And there are people in our Black community that are afraid of the growth of the Latinx community here. That's not new. It's happened in every city that has grown. And so what our leaders need to do is take a look at other cities that went through these growing pains. Denver, Dallas, Fort Worth, our own families in Fort Worth, Texas, after World War II had signs, no dogs, no Negroes, no Mexicans, you know? And so it is not, Charlotte is not going to be the same as we move forward. It's not just going to be about Black and white. It's going to be about all of us, which is why I was so impressed yesterday during that rally when a young African-American advocate said the words, it's not about Black and white anymore. It's about everyone and racist. That is what it's about. We're still going to have some Black leaders and Black advocates who want to lead the charge. And you know, from a Latinx community, because this is a Latinx show, we want to help them, but they also have to understand that it's not just about you anymore. It is about all of us. There are Latinx people that are being discriminated against, that are being profiled. And another thing that I want to say, and I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Probably shouldn't.
Yeah. We have almost all elected Black officials at the top of every position in Charlotte and Mecklenburg, from the mayor, from the county commissioner, to the police chief, to the fire chief, to the new police chief, to the district attorney. All of them are Black. So the Black community should be mad at their Black leaders. There are Black leaders who they put in office to change this, haven't changed it. So I know that there are some young Black advocates who are upset at those Black leaders because they put them all in office and it hasn't changed. And so they need to hold them accountable for, Mayor, you're the first Black female mayor in Charlotte. Why aren't you marching with your Black brothers and sisters? Aren't you kneeling? Police chief, you're the second, third Black police chief in Mecklenburg County or CMPD. Why are you tear gassing Black people? I mean, you've got to hold people accountable to those kind of things. You have 3 city councils, 5 people of color on city council, only 2 of them, Braxton Winston, Matt Newton, who's white, are they really the only ones that have stood up and said that this is not right? Malcolm Graham, I love you. He doesn't stand up for the Black community. He stands up for the Black community in a passive way. That's his political style. But if you're a Black person and you put him in office, that's the person you should be mad at. Smudge Mitchell doesn't march with he's a Black person. And others, Victoria, who just got elected, she's not out there marching with them, yelling at them. If I were Black, I'd be mad at her. Renee Johnson, the new city council member, she needs to be out there too. So if I were Black, I would be so mad at them because you're in charge.
Well, and you know, and one of the issues is you still have a predominantly white electorate, you know, a white citizenry in Charlotte. And when you have any, you know, and I'm not playing devil's advocate for Vi or any of the other, you know, African-American politicians, but you have this thing of perceived, you know, alliances, you know, and where do you draw the line? Where you know, where does Vi step out? And of course, she's disappeared again, just like she did with COVID. She's disappeared with these riots, but you know, she should be making decisions, or the city council should be coming on air and saying, we are going to set a curfew, we are going to do this, we are going to have these safety rules in place, but we're also going to dial back the police a little bit. We are going to pull them back. One of the issues is that the police are getting so aggressive in getting right in the middle of the protest, they're antagonizing the people. You know, so it amplifies it when this is a police versus the Black community issue. The last thing you need is it's like you're adding trauma or gasoline to the fire, and I think a lot of this needs to come from the top, which is our city council, and including our mayor. And they need to lead more, and they need to speak directly to communities more. And quite frankly, they need to be there at the protests. They need to be.
But let's give you an example, Jenny. The mayor of Atlanta is an African-American woman. The mayor of Washington, D.C. is an African-American woman. The mayor of Chicago is an African-American woman. These are African-American women that are standing up for their African-American brothers and sisters, speaking out as mothers, as outraged. They're saying, this is not acceptable. Trump, the rhetoric is making things worse for people who look like me. That's why you elect Black leaders. So that way they understand what we're going through. We have all these Black leaders in Charlotte. They don't say anything. So
I mean, that's a blanket statement. I mean, you know, Winston has been very vocal.
No, I did say Winston, Mark Terrell, Dimple Eshmir.
There's been a definite divide, and there's been several leaders of color, specifically Black leaders, that have been very vocal. You know, even Sheriff McFadden has weighed in on it.
Yes,
several
Sheriff
times.
McFadden. No, you're right.
And so,
we need to reward those who are doing it.
but you are right from the fact that the mayor, every time there's a big controversy, has disappeared. It's like she's like a magician. Like, now you see me, now you don't.
That's where I was going to.
And I don't understand that, because, like it or not, whether it's fair or not, you're mayor of your city, the 15th largest city in the United States. When they disappear from the fight, she's failing all communities. So she's not just failing the Black community, she's also failing the white community, the brown community. She's failing everybody, because you need that person at the top. If we're going to criticize Trump for saying what he says, the one thing I'll give him credit for is the fact that he will stick his neck out there and say what he needs to say. Now, it doesn't make it right. I mean, what he says is shitty, but the fact that he's willing to do that, our mayors of all of our major cities need to say what they need to say and protect their communities and say, no, you're not sending the military into my city. That is a violation of the Constitution, and it is wrong, and it is ugly. And we're going to get to the point where people are going to be asking us where our papers are at. We're going to have an American Gestapo.
I don't know. Well, just to let you know, Jenny, that's already happening to our community.
Yeah.
Community. At
the moment,
like
I'm going to jump in because nobody lets me talk today.
Go ahead, Ruth.
At the moment that you apply for your seat, you should already have a strategic planning, knowing what city you are under, that you're stating for. Now, this is not the first time we're going through this. It's been a couple of times already. Going back a little bit of what everybody was talking about, yes, I agree with Eddie. Some of us, the Latinos, we're afraid to connect sometimes with our African-American brothers and sisters because of what they have put in our heads already and by the experience we've gone through. But that doesn't mean that we can't make that change and start connecting with them. We have to take the step up and say, hey, how can I help you, brother? Not get together only when tragics happen, because that's why all the city leaders, they focus on that. Oh, they'll get together only on that particular time. After this stops, where's everybody? Nobody gets together. Nobody agrees on anything. There's always different little groups, and we're in the same row. Why do we have Black African Americans occupying our seats? Because they're focused on something. They want to make sure that their people get heard. They want to make sure that, yes, we're Blacks, nobody's paying attention. So I want my piece on the table. I want to be sitting down and I want my voice to hear. What are we doing as Latinos? We're not doing anything.
Well, you're exactly right. And I think that what we can do is we can learn from, there's so much for us to learn here in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's so many shoulders to stand on. And many of them are our Black brothers and sisters. Someone like El Malik, who has been a freedom fighter for such a long time. Some people don't know how she handles things, but she
What
stands up.
happened in 2016 with the Latino that got killed on Albemarle Road? We all
Exactly.
stood there and doing vigils. What happened after that? Nothing. Then another one gets killed. We make a big old thing, and I respect Hector Vaca. I love him to death, but I mean, we cannot just pop up like popcorn only when there's a emergency going on.
Well, once again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel in Charlotte, our Latino community, or North Carolina. All we have to do is look at other cities and what their Latino communities do. What did our families do in Texas? When we were pushed out of the conversations, what did we do? We mobilized. We started groups like the League of United Latin American Citizen chapters. We started Olive chapters, Mexican American Legal Defensemen chapters. We started all kinds of chapters, which are like the NAACP. We need to start those chapters here. And we start those chapters, we start educating our young people on not only our history, our successes, the power of our vote, the power of our commerce, to think that our community here should just depend on the International House or the Action and C or the Latin American Chamber. It's not going to work. Their goal is to fund their organizations. Their goal is not to move progress forward. And if it was, they failed. Because they've been in business for 10 years and they failed.
If you hire or you get an insurance protection for your car and you end up in a car accident and they don't cover you up, will you stay with them or change them?
You change them.
Thank you. We, the people, chose our mayor. We have the right to vote her out. We have the right to take her out. We have the right to reject our chief. We weren't asked if we wanted him. He didn't get qualified through our people. Why do we have to step up and stay there and learn from his lack of responsibility and not doing the right thing? We are the people that are paying our taxes to furnish their paycheck. We have the right to speak up and say something, but nobody has done it until something happens. We can gather signatures and get the mayor out and get someone that really is going to protect us.
Let's go around. Barbara, do you have anything to add to this?
I would just wonder, sitting here as being the lily white person in the group, I guess, and
I was going to say
older,
that. I didn't.
Older. So I watch, I'm a news junkie. And yesterday, Jim Clyburn was interviewed by somebody. And he said something that really shocked me after they talked about, how he's such a great big Biden supporter and everything. Fine. I'm an independent voter. I'll make up my mind when I'm ready to make up my mind. But he said, my wife and I have been married for 57 years. We have had conversations about white versus Black for every one of those years, and nothing has changed. And I feel like we're going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to another friend here in Charlotte that has two, a 9-year-old and 11-year-old sons, and they were trying to explain to them what was going on and how they need to protect their friends that are of color, Black and brown, and they have them, and they do things with them, not currently, but normally. And that conversation that needs to be had. And he pointed out that they saw the grandparents over the weekend, and their grandparents said segregation of schools here in Charlotte is going back to the way it was in the 1960s. So yeah. I don't see that because I don't have children, but it is. Every time I talk to people about what's going on in Charlotte, I've been here 20 years. And what do I have, blinders on or something? That's why I enjoy these meetings with you guys, and wakes me up a little bit, and I try to help, but it just concerns me that I hear from people in other cities and they're like, where are your leaders?
Yeah, exactly.
And it embarrasses me. And I'm like,
anybody else want to add in before we start closing here?
Yeah, I'm done.
Anybody else want to add in before we start closing? All right, well, what I can say is that once again, we've said this this is our 84th show, and I've probably said this on 20 of the shows, that Charlotte is a reactive city. It's not a proactive city. And we always react to incidents instead of planning like a big city or a big company, like we all do in our own normal jobs and companies. We're not proactive. There's like this chip on our shoulder here in Charlotte that we think we're too proud to ask other cities for help. If there are other cities that have gone through things like we're going through, go visit the city. What are you doing in Atlanta? What are you doing in Dallas? What are you doing in San Antonio? Nashville? What are you doing in Denver and St. Louis and others in Washington, D.C.? What are you doing to help bridge the gap between your immigrant communities and so forth, and getting those conversations going? What are you doing? We don't do that. What the mayor does, and it's not just her, it's a history of passing the buck here. Let's form a committee. Let's form a committee, which means it doesn't go anywhere. That's just their way of telling people, let's form a committee. No business would ever operate like that. If you owned a business and you were having problems, you would bring consultants in from outside and say, take a look at our city for a month and give me some solutions. And I guarantee you, they would say, well, Mayor, you got to show up. City council people, you need to stop speaking. You were just as elected as the mayor. If the mayor is going to be not going to speak up, you need to speak up. Just because she's not speaking up doesn't mean that. And if another city council says something that is not appropriate, call the city council person out. And that's why we got elected.
But Christian, that's not the problem. The problem is that Charlotte has made a very intentional, decided, purposeful choice. It is not accidental. They are picking financial progress over social progress. And that's exactly 1000% the truth. It's not that we are not too proud. It's not that it's accidentally happening. They're saying, like, whether it's the light rail, whether it's the segregation of the city, moving people out east and west, and the crescent and moon design in the city, it's a very intentional thing. It says financial status, financial progress is the most important thing for Charlotte, North Carolina, and it has social effects, and that is 1000% the mode of operation. Look at the RNC. Why did we bring RNC here? And because we wanted the financial gain that we thought we'd get from it.
But here's Jenny. Here's the argument that I make, and I see other people making. We have 7 Democrats on our Charlotte City Council, 2 Republicans, and a Democratic mayor. Our entire county commission is Democrat. Democrats have run this city in those positions for a decade. So we Democrats, I'm a Democratic Libertarian, have brought in Democrats to address what you're talking about, and they haven't. There comes a point where you have to say, you got to get out. And that's, so we don't, as Democrats, we don't have anybody to blame. We can't blame the white people. We can't blame the Republicans. We got to blame the Democrats. You got to blame Julie Ison. You got to blame Smudgy Mitchell. You got to blame those people, because those are the people that are pushing those policies.
But so there's a counterpoint to this, and I'm not saying I agree with this.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago, Charlotte was in a major financial crash, because of the banking industry and the financial crash of 2008 to 2010, the Great Recession. And they elected people and have had a policy that we need to turn this economy around here in Charlotte, North Carolina. That became the hyper focus, and everything else just took a back seat. We operated that way for so long that I think nobody sat down and said, well, why did we ignore the other issues? There was a hyper focus on bringing light rail here because it generated a couple $1 billion worth of construction projects. We created more emphasis around the hub hub and spoke design of the city and really built up uptown and South End and Midwood and gentrified all these areas for financial progress. The problem was it screwed the social progress of the city. It screwed it bad. We had tons of social justice inadequacies. And then, of course, the era of Trump, our Latinx neighbors have suffered immeasurably without the city backing them up. Again, afraid of being a sanctuary city and the CMPD not protecting our Latinx neighbors and working with ICE. So we picked financial, but it was purposeful. So we elected these people to be that way. Now, here's the other thing. White, brown, and black wanted the financial progress. So as voters, we also want that too. We don't want to see Charlotte, North Carolina go in the tank. So it is a balance. But that's, we put those people in that field to have financial progress, not social progress.
I understand what you're saying, Jenny, but this is the only thing that I continue to have to say. All of us have lived in different cities, I believe most of us have. I know you have, Jenny. I've lived in Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Plano, Texas, San Antonio, Texas. Ruth has lived in San Antonio, Texas, and Selena's house. You know, she's, I think she looks kind of like Selena in a little way.
I'm behind her next door.
That's right. Cindy's from Texas. Charlotte has the impression it's like the spoiled child in the family. You're not the only one going through this. Every city went through a depression in 2008, 2009. Every family went through a depression in 2008, 2000, and we came out of it. I don't feel sorry for you, Charlotte, for going through it. Everyone went through a depression. People lost houses, people lost jobs. What I feel sorry for you is you keep blaming that for it. And that is what happens in Charlotte. Charlotte is still acting like a spoiled teenager instead of a global world adult city. And that is what we have to change. We have to elect elected officials who stop acting like woe is me, and we have to start electing elected officials and mayors who have the skill set to stand up for the citizens of Charlotte.
So Charlotte has to grow up and become a teenager or an adult, not a baby
it
anymore.
Still acts like a teenager.
You still have social problems in Dallas and San Antonio.
Yes, we do.
As somebody that's lived in the DFW area, Houston and San Antonio, I've lived in 3 of the big cities in Texas, and I can tell you there's stark differences between people that live in Montrose and downtown Houston that live in Humboldt, or South San versus the North 281 corridor, or Plano versus South Dallas. There is a monumental difference in social justice in those cities too. They have major social justice.
Okay, Jenny, we're running out of time, and I've got to cut this short so we can start our show at 11:30 and get in the truck. But I want to thank everyone for joining us. This has been a wonderful, wonderful show. And I'm sorry that I didn't give everyone else time to talk. But we're going to go around and tell us where you're going to be. Cyndi, we really want to promote your business. Thank you for what you're doing. So we're going to promote your business on our page, on our social media pages, to try to get people to join. I have a plethora of family members, and I think, are you in Fort Worth?
Fort Worth.
Oh, I got a plethora of family in Fort Worth, and none of them are following this social stay-at-home thing. I called my dad the other day, and I was like, Dad, where'd you go? Oh, we went to Mi Casino. I said, Dad, you've had 2 bypass heart attacks. Oh, we wear masks.
No.
And we had a margarita.
Wow.
So I'm
Listen, my son was invited just to play Mexican Loteria on Saturday.
Oh,
and on Monday, I had to take him to, Friday night, coming Saturday morning. And on Monday, I had to get him a test. And he's only 12 years old, and he got positive. We didn't know because we trusted that family.
I'm so sorry about that.
So, and then my other son just came back right now from getting another test.
Oh.
And then I have another one with a fever. All my boys are, my whole entire house right now. I am blessed. If I have it, I go out with a mask anyways, but I don't have any symptoms. I just can't taste anything. But I feel blessed that I don't have severe symptoms. So please, everyone, if you go out, wear a mask.
Exactly. Thank you. And
Thank
Jenny
you.
and I, we'll talk about this on our ride and our second show here about our experiences with going out and watching so many people wear masks. I'm very proud. I'm very impressed of all the places I've been to. There's only been about 2 or 3 people that have not worn. It seems it's just gotten to be normal. Everyone's wearing face coverings. And I'm very proud about that. But before I do that, I want to let someone know that someone at Costco taught me something that I was so excited about. I have been looking for wipes, disinfectant wipes and spray because I can't find Lysol. And so this lady I ran into at Costco from 6 feet away with masks, she told me, if you get some rubbing alcohol, which is hard to find, but I found some at local Walgreens. They come in every Tuesday. Get some local alcohol. Has to be 70 to 90%, whatever that is.
Straight.
You pour it in a temporary spray bottle.
With water.
That is disinfectant. Okay, you can use that. Buy baby wipes. I happen to shop at Walmart Superstore now because they all wear face coverings, so I'm supporting them just like Costco. You buy baby wipes. Or a cup of alcohol in them, let it absorb. You have wipes from now on. If you go to these, some of the smaller Walgreens or CVS's, they have the travel sections. They all still have temporary wipes in the travel sections. They also have small containers of Lysol, travel sections of Lysol. So there are things that you can still do.
I bought hand sanitizer, the Germex. They allow me only 3 small packages at CVS here in the corner, or 1 big bottle. But I have done my research and I agree with whoever told you about the alcohol. Alcohol is 100% better than spending money on other products.
Exactly. So I felt like Rachel Ray, or what's the other person who does all those things about like making all these at home. So I've made all these concoctions for people I can give away. It says C19. But of course, wipe safe down, wash your hands, wear your face coverings, be responsible, all those kind of things. So let's go around. Tell us where you're going to be. Thank you. I want everybody back on our show whenever you want us to be on a show. We're only doing Wednesday shows now, since all of us are getting out and about on the weekends. Until we can get back together. Tell us where you're going to be in 30 seconds. And once again, if we look at the Facebook screen, it is Jenny J, Barb, Eduardo, Cyndi. And I just want to I want to comment on this. What's this? Is that a Hornets cap?
Mine? My hat? No, it says Charlotte.
Oh, I didn't know if you were a Hornets fan. I was like, Hornets.
Yo, the 2 only males that we have on our show, and they're both matching today. Black and beer.
Hey, listen.
Yeah,
that's right. Hey, the black slims us on camera, so we got
the bling bling too
going on. Yeah, that's right. All right, so let's start with baby Trump Pinata, aka Jenny J. Where are you going to be?
Well, I'll be at the first 2 groups. Here in about 30 minutes. We have the national organization.
I hear you.
And we're going to be talking about Pride Month, so I'm super excited about that. Super excited to get my Pride here. It's different. It's still Pride. Pride started with the riot 50 years ago.
I'm going to be here in Charlotte. I'm working with a family and I'm helping them paint their house, the inside of their house. We started last Saturday. So that's my little charity work here.
I'm also going to be here in Charlotte, again, working for the census. If you guys have not completed the census, you still have time. It has been extended. The deadline is now on October 31st. So you guys still have time. Go to my2020.census.gov.
Here, a good commercial.
Next. City.
Hi.
I'm
gonna be
your wig yet.
I'm
Gonna be baking buns.
I'm gonna be here in Fort Worth, growing my little business, but also I'm gonna be out and about this weekend supporting my brothers and sisters of color, and hopefully, get a little bit of rapport out there to let them know that we do support them.
Excellent. Hey, do y'all send buttons out of state?
Do we what?
Do y'all send your cakes out of state?
You know, I can. One lady ordered, and I think it depends on where it's going. And if you get it overnight, is the best thing. And it was pretty expensive. I think she paid like $140.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Yeah. So, but she ordered, and she, you know, she put it out there. But it's an expensive thing to order out of state. It really
Okay.
is.
I just know that when George Bush was president, they used to overnight Angelo's barbecue.
Yeah.
Angelo's barbecue.
I
They used to
remember that.
overnight that from Fort Worth, Texas.
They sure did.
So yeah. So anyway, I thought I'd share that. Okay.
Yes.
Mama Ruth.
I will be here at home, I guess, from now on, holding off on quarantine. I was told to stay home for a full 10 days.
Hmm.
You
Are
know,
you gonna stay home?
mask. I do let everyone know whenever I went to Columbia, South Carolina yesterday, and I was
Oh.
wearing my mask, and I told my friend, listen, my friends tested
Mhm.
positive. I've been around them. I just want to make sure that this is a disclaimer because I don't want y'all to come and blame me for something. So, but yeah, just taking care of my kids. I do have 2 more conference calls this week. I did a power training for mediators. I don't know if y'all remember, I'm a mediator for the courthouse because they're gonna reopen and we're gonna have a lot of evictions. So we have to kind of work with our tenants. And then I'm having another one tomorrow with our sister cities from the city of Charlotte, hopefully to see what are we coming up with. Of course, we shouldn't be doing sister cities issues right now when we have to take care of our local city. But other than that, just be here. Y'all stay safe.
Next Wednesday. Excellent. Well, listen, I want to apologize for Christian for all the things he said during the show. I don't.
Bless
I'm his
your
twin.
heart, Christian.
I'm his twin, so anything that he has said, please don't record that if I ever run for office again and play it, because I will say that was not me. I'll do the Trump. It wasn't me. What's that song back? That there was a song. It wasn't me.
Or you can
All
do
right.
the Clinton.
So, that's Clinton. That's right. All right. So, if you thought this was exciting, in about 15 to 20 minutes, the world premiere of Two Queers in a Truck will go live. It is Jenny, Two Queers in a Truck. It is Jenny, myself, gonna get in a truck and drive around for an hour. We're gonna throw shade. Anybody who doesn't know what throwing shade is, you'll find out what that means, throwing shade. And we will have practicing social distancing. This is I'm a granny driver, and I want to leave on a story that I told.
Is that going to be live? Are we going to be able to watch it?
It's going to be live. It's going to be live on Facebook Live. So we're all prepared. We're just going to do a little cleanup here and then get in the truck and we're going to go live.
No, y'all better go to the right places. Don't go to.
Hey, we're gonna drive right in the middle of the protesters. No, we're not. No, we're not crazy. So listen. Yesterday,
If you get arrested, do you want bail money?
No,
I know.
Go off of South Boulevard to those, especially to the Mexican stores, please.
Yes, I'm gonna wear this way. So yesterday, I went to do my weekly grocery shopping. I zoomed. I stopped at 4 places. I zoomed to my first stop, put the truck in gear. I thought, had my dogs with me, put the emergency brake on, put my mask on, got my recycle bags, went out, did my shopping, came back out. My truck had run into the back of another truck. There was a guy on the phone that said, your dogs drove your truck into that truck. Apparently, he said, I saw your dogs on the top of the console. And I said, oh my God, first I'm thinking this is embarrassing, this is like a farmer's insurance commercial, or whatever. And so I put my stuff in, my groceries inside the thing. And he said, this is not my truck. I just wanted to wait to see who was here. I said, thank you very much. I left it, took pictures, went into the stores to see who was there. One person said they think the person who owns it worked at a post office. It was a black truck, really cool, with a Harley Davidson sticker on the back of it. Walked into the post office. There's an African-American gentleman who was working the counter. And I said, sir, do you know somebody who's driving this truck? My dogs ran into it. He said, that's my truck. And I said, oh, okay. The ladies were laughing at me because they were like, yeah, it's like, your dogs drove into the truck. It was like, kind of, I don't think he believed me at all. So we walk out there. It's there. We took pictures and exchanged all the information. Pull back. It was just a little scratch on his and in my truck, because it's like an SUV, it's fiberglass, so it kind of popped out. So we said, okay, let's do the thing you need to do. I said, have it checked. You don't know if the bumper in between. I should, I opened my mouth in case there's stuff in the bumper that's damaged. I shouldn't have said anything. Exchanged it. I'm driving home because I thought something was wrong, because this has never happened. I used to have 2 big boxers, and it's never happened. And I have 2 little schnauzers now. And so I went to the liquor store. I went to the liquor store, parked up against a curb just in case it got out of gear. Went to Petco, parked up against the curb. Came home, and I was all excited about telling this story, and this is the funniest story. This. I walk in. I said, Andrew, you need to talk to your kids. He said, what? Were one of them holding the brake and the other one shift the gear? And I said, what do you mean? It can't come out of gear unless someone's foot is on the brake, which only means that I left it in gear. And I was so, I have not had a ticket or a wreck in 25 years. So now my story that I wanted to tell Geico about my dog driving into the truck, I can't say. So that was my experience. That's why I'm wearing this blonde wig.
I'll just laugh at you. Can't see our wreck now.
So I don't know. I thought I should tell you that story.
Don't worry, I understand. I've done that.
You have? Have you had babies in the car?
For some reason, not with babies, but I've left my car on gear and I turn it off and I'm like, I'm walking out, and then all of a sudden I see my car going down. Whoops, let me go back in.
Does it let you take the key out? Mine won't do it.
No, remember, nowadays the cars are keyless.
Yeah, I leave it running because the
I
dog's
don't have a keyless car, so. Okay.
Yeah, I leave it running because the dog, I didn't want it to get hot in the car. So, or the truck, and so I leave it running, and I have the locks on the side of the SUV. And so anyway,
kind of sounds like you might be able to make some money off of them being able to start cars, Christian.
No, I was like, I just thought this is the coolest story. I was like, this is gonna be a great story for tomorrow's show. This. And then to find out I was just stupid. It's like, man, this whole story.
No wonder I didn't see my Taco Tuesday yesterday.
Yeah, it was kind of a bootleg Taco Tuesday. We had a guest over for dinner, and instead of tequila, they wanted rum. I said, they don't drink rum for Taco Tuesday. The Puerto Ricans, but not the Mexicans.
I'm always looking for Taco Tuesdays at Casa de Cano.
Yes, it was a vegan Taco Tuesday. All right, thank you, everyone. If you're on Zoom, stay on. We're going to end Facebook, so let's wave for the Facebook crowd. We're going to end them. Goodbye.